And I do have recording that is now started. Just FYI, everybody.
Okay. Let me one thing here to make sure everything's working. All right, there he is. There he is. Share my screen. Do this. There.
Hey, Russ, we need to have you get your mic closer because we're having a real hard time hearing you.
Any better?
You sound like you're in a tunnel.
Let's see here. Hold on.
Is there any way to get the microphone closer to your mouth?
Well, actually my mic is on my camera. So I'll yell. How about that? Is that any better?
Nope.
Sounds like you're in a bucket.
Well, I'm having some issues right now because it's saying that my default Windows is giving me some fits right now. Let's see what we can do here.
Eldon?
Is that any better at all?
Not
great.
on mine.
You're louder, but you're still got that hollow sound. And Eldon, like before, if you need to get a hold of me, just call me on the phone.
Okay, we'll do.
You know, everything looked great last week.
A7EGC receiver 33 AM.
Okay, let me see what I can do here. I may not be able to have my video showing. See if I can get my display to. Can you hear me at all?
Very, very hard to understand.
Oh, come on, folks. I'll try to go up closer. Is this any better?
The louder and closer you are to your mic, the better it does sound.
No, it doesn't sound too bad from here. This is KI7MTI Mike.
Well, I was hoping they were going to do this. Anything on my video?
We can all see a PDF on your screen.
Yes, again. Let me see if I can share my screen. And we will get started on this. I want to share this screen. Do you guys see the D Star 101?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
You hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Good. We'll keep going on this and see what we can do. As you can tell, this was taken from a presentation that was made by the Northern Utah Technical Society. And this is a couple of years old, but it's probably one of the better explanations of D Star. D Star in and of itself has been around since 1999 when the Japanese developed it. And there are a myriad of radios out there now that do D Star. Kenwood is probably the ICOM is probably the most common one out there now. Kenwood has done some D Star work where the codec has been released for use. Right? There are dongles and things like that out there. D Star stands for Digital Smart Technologies for Amateur Radio. Originally funded in 1999 by the Japanese government and made available to the Japanese Radio League. It's now opened up quite a bit as far as its use. It's not as widespread as a lot of other digital things are, such as Fusion and DMR. But D Star has a few more capabilities than some of the other things out there. D Star can transmit and receive voice and 1200 baud packet simultaneously on 2 meter, 70 centimeter, and a 23 centimeter band, which is the 1.2 gigahertz band. And no TNC is required. You can do high-speed 128 data transmissions on the 23 band with internet connectivity. D Star sends your ID with every transmission. You've got DPRS, which is the digital APRS. Now that kind of goes out back through the internet and then comes back to a program such as APRIS. There's flexible linking gateway. Now, D Star is really digital to digital. It does not have an analog component to it, but you can talk from D Star radio to D Star radio. The nice thing about it too is that if I'm looking for Woody out there and Woody's got his call sign up and his D Star radio on, when Woody checks in or turns the radio on, I get an indication on my radio that Woody is now available for communications. There are numerous reflectors. There's probably about 400 reflectors worldwide that are open to all kinds of communications capabilities. You can have clubs that meet. You can do the hurricane net down in Florida. You can talk to Japan. You can talk to a lot of foreign countries. If someone you know knows some of his foreign languages, they can talk to them probably in a foreign country with their language. If you don't happen to have a D-Star radio, there are the dongles that you can connect up to your home internet connectivity. Call them in on a analog radio. It converts it to digital, puts it over the internet, which will also connect into these reflectors, which is kind of nice. D-Star is a narrow band, an ultra narrow band communications. It's a 6.2 kilohertz bandwidth, where we have wideband FM occupies 15 kilohertz. Narrow band FM is 12.5 megahertz, or kilohertz, where the D star is on 6.25. So we can actually occupy two D star two D star channels, and the same thing where you occupy 15 or one FM. Okay, so it's a pretty efficient system. The voice quality on D star is very comparable to what we normally have on FM and Fusion, but it's okay. It's still intelligible. This is basically a real quick synopsis of what the D star looks like out there going out. You've got your handheld. We can connect into a couple of repeaters here in the valley. It goes out over the internet, and you can talk to somebody else in another country, wherever you want to go. There are GPS connectivity with the thing, so it's pretty extensive. You can send video, live stream video over the direct digital mode, and going with that. So here in Salt Lake City, we've got Pat and the lab put up a repeater at the IHC hospital. There's a couple of more repeaters up in, I think, on Farnsworth. There are some other repeaters else in other places. The one thing about D star is that it takes up to 4 channels on your radio to establish a communications, and we'll kind of go over that here in just a second. Reflector is considered to be similar to repeater, but has no RF capability. And mostly they connect it to what is called a stack, or a D star stack. There are up to 5 pieces in a D star stack. One is the controller. You've got channel A, or stack A, whatever you want to call it, is the 1.2 gigahertz high-speed data. You've got a 1.2 gigahertz voice and direct digital video. Your stack B, or your repeater B, is a UHF, and C is a VHF. And you address these when you do the channel numbering to either A, B, C.
535.
There are other things that you can do with this. You can access a gateway. You've got DRATs and so forth. Okay. So now we get into the call sign fields used for routing. And it's probably the easiest way to show you that is to look at, I'm going to stop this chair for just a second and see if I've got, I'm on my main computer right now. Oh, and I don't have it on here. Okay, I'll have to come back to it later. But it takes up to, like I said, it takes 4 channels on your radio to establish a D star connectivity. So your first channel is going to be your call sign with basically you're going to link or unlink into the stack. The call sign is a person or group. So it's your call. You've got repeater 1, which is the port you're coming in on, which takes up another line. Repeater 2 is where you're going to go out on. So what basically you do is you hit your call, you go to your first channel, and you key your transmitter with your ID. Then your second channel, you're going to go into link into your repeater, and then you can connect into it with your link and into a reflector. So you're linking to a reflector.
Hey, Russ,
Yes.
are you sharing your screen? Because we're not seeing anything right now.
I'm sorry. Thank you. I thought I was. I can't read my mind. Okay, is that any better?
We can see you now. Thank you.
All right. You need to be able to do with the D Star on your channel. There's a reason why we said the other night we were talking about the standard loadout for the radios and things that I know the board will come up with, but they have some D Star channels in there, and I said, well, geez, guys, it takes four channels or four memory locations to actually use a D Star link. So you have to link into a repeater, you link into a reflector, and then when you're through communication, you have to unlink from that repeater. So each one requires a transmission with various information on it. And we'll get down here. Okay. So a general call, your first identification, like I said, first channel is you go a CQ, CQ, CQ. That's a call to anybody. The second repeater is the repeater that you want to link into. So we're going to go into SLC. You want to go into the VHF side. So that's the repeater you got to go into. And you're going to come out on the gateway, which would be your third channel. And then you're going to give if you're looking for a particular person, then you will put in their call sign. This is talking to a specific station that you want to talk to. Local call on the same repeater. Again, here's that B, so we're going to go in on the VHF side, and I'm going to come out and I'm looking for KE7IK. So this is a local call. I'm looking for this one. So if I would put anybody's call sign, so when KE7IK comes up on the radio, my radio is going to indicate that he's there and ready to go, ready to talk to me. All right. Here again, we're going to come in on same basic principle. We're going to come in on the VHF side, and we're going to go out on the 70 centimeter side on the local repeater. So I can go out come in on the UHF or VHF side and go out on the UHF side. All right, gateway routing. All right, here we go. Here we're going to go. We're going to lock into calling CQ, or we're going to link into this particular repeater, okay, on the 70 centimeter side. We're going to, well, this is KF7RAL calling out. He's going in on the 70 centimeter side. He's connecting to N7TS on the VHF side, and then going out on the gateway for the rest of the world. And each one of these takes up a channel in your radio, or a memory location in your radio. All right, here again, we're going to be basically doing the same thing, going in on the 70 centimeter, coming out on the gateway. All right. Here is the unlink from that repeater. If you notice that all of these U, B, and G's all are on the 8th port or 8th location on the D star the D star channel, or 7 spaces. Excuse me, 7 spaces in, and then you hear a link and unlink. So we're going to unlink from NU7TS on the going out on the gateway.
Question.
Yes.
So when you're going to unlink, you don't need the repeater call sign in there. You just put the U.
That's right, because you're already linked into the repeater from up here. You're already linked into this particular repeater, and it doesn't care. You can't unlink from a repeater you're not connected to.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks.
Okay. And so on and so forth. There's some information there. Now, here's one thing that's kind of neat. If you don't have a D-Star radio, you can use what is called a DV dongle. And some of the newer DV dongles out there will actually allow you to cross band or cross profile, so we can come in on the D-Star side of the dongle and go out on DMR, or we can come in on the DMR side and go out on Fusion, or vice versa, which is kind of a neat thing to do. So if you don't have an analog or a D-Star radio, and most of your club members are on Fusion, you can get the dongle and do a cross-platform connect with the dongle. It all goes to the internet. So if you would have to contact your home station and go out on your internet, we'll back over to a Fusion radio or a DMR radio. This next slide is basically doing away with that stack of radios we talked about. This is more along the lines of a computer and using two D-Star radios. It doesn't require any registration. You can pull them up and start talking with them. The repeater up in Davis County is set up this way. The only thing you can't do is you can't really change. You can get into the various reflectors, but everything is done over the internet instead of really through RF. If that makes sense to you. All right, here's our dongles and the DV access points. The nice thing about that, with the advent of the Pi, the Raspberry Pi, these dongles and access points are much, much, much faster and easier to operate, and they're just software driven, which really makes it nice, because you get an $87 Raspberry Pi, attach your the Northwest system. Let's see if I got a picture of that here. Yeah, here's a Raspberry Pi with using the DV dongle. Otherwise, you have to tie it to your laptop with the same type of system. But this is D-Star to DMR to Fusion, which does make it kind of nice with the Raspberry Pi. Okay. Now, Northwest Radio has a new. They've done away with this universal radio, digital radio control daughter board. They have now, which is called, oh shoot, I can't remember what it's called. It's a different, but it's a much more sophisticated daughter board for the Raspberry Pi, and will allow you to connect a couple different radios and do a lot more things. Okay. Here are some of the D Star repeaters around the area. As you can tell, they're you've got some direct videos or digital videos, digital data. Okay. There's Farnsworth that's got a big stack up in Farnsworth. They've got the 2.3 centimeter or 23 centimeter VHF, UHF. Here's the one up at IMC with Pat Millad. And I don't think they have the 2.3N up there yet. I don't think Pat's on, but I don't know. Does anybody know if they've got the 23 centimeter stack in yet up at IHC?
This is Pat. I think they moved that repeater. I'm no longer the trustee.
I'm sorry, Pat? Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know what you said.
I'm sorry, say again.
What did you say, Pat? I didn't hear what you said.
I said I think they moved that repeater. I'm no longer the trustee.
Okay. Well, this is a fairly old presentation. I thought it was still up there at IHC. Down there on 5400 South.
Yeah, not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Trust?
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes, Kelly.
They have temporarily removed the stack.
Okay.
And some parts of it were thrown away. They're in the process of replacing those parts.
Okay.
And as soon as they work out some legal problems, getting it hooked into the hospital computer network, it should be back on the air.
They're still in the process of reinstalling it then, huh?
Yeah, the antenna was
Okay.
either thrown away or misplaced. And the problem was putting a open air repeater on the hospital's computer network.
Okay.
With all the HIPAA problems, it's been a real nightmare.
All right. I'm sure they're probably pretty busy right now and unable to do a whole lot of work on that.
In fact, I don't think anybody really wants to go up there and work on it right now.
Okay. All right. But anyway, you can see there's several around the area. Basically, are there any other questions? An answer.
Russ, this is Scott, KG7Q&I. If anybody needs assistance, programming their radios, where would you recommend going?
All right, Scott, I did not hear that. Your audio dropped out completely, so I hope the rest of the group got that. I'm sorry.
No, I was asking whether someone needed assistance programming their radios, their D Star radios. Where would they go for assistance?
Well, if you use the RTS system, use the RTS software for your D Star radios, they've already got a D Star calculator built into them. and you just plug in a few things and it programs it yourself. It's real simple to do so. If you have to, if you've got some of the newer radios, if you've got the old ICOM 2300, it can be done, but it's all manual programming. But yeah, it's fairly easy to do. Any other questions? Okay, well, that's basically all I've got tonight. Sorry for my audio problems and my video. I got some new stuff the other day, and Windows doesn't like it for some reason. I'm gonna have to get some new drivers in. Looks like.
Russ, did you copy Brian?
Let me go ahead. I did not have.
Brian, try it again. I don't think I have a microphone on my computer. You were saying in the presentation that you could come in on the D Star on the VHF side and you come out on the UHF side. Do you have to go crossband like that, or can you come in on UHF and out on UHF?
In and out on the same platform.
So you can come in and out on the same.
Yes, you can come in and out on UHF or VHF or 23 centimeters. You
okay,
so just platform.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay. I'm not catching that one, sorry. My audio's gone.
Hey, Richard, would you try and maybe type your question into the chat, and we'll see if, because your voice sounded like you had a mouthful of helium.
Well, there is a question in the chat already.
Over here in the chat, see what it says. There's two of them in chat.
Okay, Russ, the question is,
yes,
where
the presentation you can download. You can download this presentation. That's
Hey, Russ, there's a question. Where is the best place to find a list of D Star repeaters? Just download the presentation and find it there?
Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. There's also the repeater directory, the ARRL repeater directory, or even on the VHF side, there's also a list of D Star repeaters. But
Hey, Russ, it looks like Richard's trying to type a message. So hopefully. Does anybody else have questions? Now's the time to ask.
I didn't catch it. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on with my system. All right. Is there any other questions that I could maybe we can answer? Okay. We'll hand it back over to Eldon, I guess, and go from there.
Okay, next week is scheduled for our in-person meeting, and we'll be reviewing the machine gun fire and possibly talking about the new standard load a little bit. So invite everybody to come out and see. The machine gun fire review is going to be, you know, what problems they had, what issues they had, and see, you know, what we can do to be better prepared for a call out if we're ever called out. So and there's a question. Can the D STAR mode that is straight digital be used with DRATs? Russ?
Sorry, go ahead.
Can the D STAR mode?
Yes, D STAR can be used with DRAT.
So yes, it can.
Yes, it can.
Okay. You want to explain how that works a little bit, or is it just repeater to?
Basically, what happens with DRATs is it goes through the repeater itself, goes over there and comes across on APRIS. It comes through the internet connectivity on the internet. It's not real good for car to car yet, but you can do it if you've got an internet connection available.
Okay. That answer your question, Richard? Thumbs up, thumbs down? No? Okay.
Eldon, Pat with a question.
Okay, go ahead, Pat.
Can you, in the email sent out for the meeting, send out a copy of that standard load?
We're not quite finished with it. What we'll do is next week we'll have it for the screen share to talk about it a little bit more, see if anybody else has any other recommendations, that type of thing, before we do a final approval on it.
Great. All right, thanks.
Yeah. Richard, can you define your question a little bit more, and so we might be able to answer it? Okay, I have used DRATs, but there are two digital modes with D STAR. The second mode was only available with the ladder radio. So
with D STAR, you've got digital data. You've got low speed and high speed digital data. You've got a 23 centimeter. You've got the high speed digital data available, but on the UHF VHF, low speed 128 kps available on those, and that's what you use.
So Russ, did the early D STAR radios, did they only have one mode to do, or could you do more than that with early D STAR radios?
I'm not sure I fully understand.
Okay, when D STAR first came out, it was mainly just ICOM that had them, correct?
Yes.
Richard, you want to try again? Talk. There's a question from Matt. Are there any ID1s still deployed in the Valley?
ID1s are 23 centimeter radios. I don't know. I really
This is Kelly.
Go ahead, Kelly.
At the cost of the ID1 radios, I believe only some hospitals actually purchase them. And it's rather rare that I think an individual would have an ID1 radio.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to share one more screen here real quick. This is got a list of DRAX reflectors in the hurricane net down in Florida, which kind of gives you an idea.
This is Doug. I've got a comment on that ID1 question.
Go ahead, Doug.
I'm using my R-Finder app, which is an app available listing repeaters and such for iOS or Android systems on 23 centimeters. That is the 1290 megahertz band. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Richard, we need you to mute. Richard, please mute.
Yeah, I'm getting a Minnie Mouse in my ears. But at any rate, on R-Finder, my smartphone app, it lists 3 D Star repeaters on 1290 on the 1290 band. One is on the Intermountain Med Center in Murray at 1298. Well, I can put it in comments, but basically it's 3. One at IMED and 2 on Farnsworth. And I'll go ahead and put that in the chat.
Okay. Go ahead, Russ. You can talk about your screen. Hey, Russ, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
Also, Russ, if you could do a control and then scroll up to zoom that screen a little bit bigger. There we go.
Unmute your mic, Russ. There you go.
Yeah. Sorry. I've got issues over here that I don't know why I've got issues right now. But this is basically a list of some DRATS reflector list down in the hurricane on the hurricane net. That might be kind of interesting. And you can get a list of these reflectors just about anywhere you look at. If you do a search on D Star reflectors, you'll come up with about 200 or 300 of them. But basically how you would just tie into these, you would just there would be a reflector number out here that you would use to get into those.
And is DRATS a program, a computer program? Is that what it is?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And it's a data transfer program?
Yes, it's a data transfer program for Windows.
Okay.
If you look right here, you can probably get some more information on the DRATs. But, you know, there's quite a bit of information out there on it. There's probably more information out there on the internet that we don't really use around here that much. I am not real sure how popular D STAR is compared to Fusion and DMR. My first guess is it's probably not all that popular, especially with only 2 stacks really in the valley. Fusion has got a lot more repeaters out there, and DMR is coming online as quickly. But D STAR is expensive to get into, especially if you're going to build a stack.
Okay, Kelly, there's a question that says, did someone say the hospital repeaters weren't working? Is that just the 23 centimeter D STAR radio or all the D STARs on the hospital?
All the D STAR repeaters are not functioning on the hospital.
Okay.
That was the last time I checked was several months ago, and I can't imagine any work has been done.
Yeah. They've been a little busy.
Yes, and as soon as they, like I say, get the parts, get the time to do it, I think it'll be set up as, at first, just a repeater, and you won't be able to tie into the internet because of the legal problems with
right.
But as soon as those get worked out, then it will act as a internet capable device.
Okay.
Is the hospital doing that, or is that something that we should be working on?
The hospital radio club is actually working on it.
Okay, so this is the hospital radio club. Okay.
Yeah, since they were the ones that the hospital itself took the equipment out of the rack, lost some of the parts. They're working on restoring it for us.
Okay.
And Eldon, could I call you after the meeting this evening?
You bet.
Thank you.
It's been a 10-year issue they've been working on, so hopefully they resolve it soon.
Doug, thanks for putting those repeaters in the chat. In regard to emergency communications, is there a plan to use D STAR during an emergency?
I would say no.
I would say it depends on which club you're talking about and which city. Because I believe Cottonwood Heights uses D STAR quite often. And I'm not sure about some of the other cities and what their plans are. So I know that it is used a bit. So
I think it's used more other places than here, though. I think there's other cities and towns who have invested a lot in it, and it is probably more popular in other places than it is here in Utah.
Okay.
Eldon, are there any plans to use it countywide?
At this point, I'm not sure. We haven't discussed that as a board.
I know this may be off topic. Well, what about some of the other digital modes? What about Fusion or DMR? Is that, I don't know how popular those other forms are.
I don't either. We're going to be covering them, some of them though. So
yeah.
Over the next 2 weeks. So again, next week is going to be the in-person meeting. The week after, we'll be covering Packet. The week after that, we'll be covering WinLink, the different WinLink modes. The week after that, DMR. So that'll take us through the middle of July. So if you don't have any more questions, I will go ahead and end this meeting for now. Hey, Russ, could you make me the host? And
Let me see if I can, how I could do that.
just click on my name and then okay. Thank you all for coming. Hopefully we'll see you next week.